Good morning. Today is Sunday, June 14th, 2020. It is wonderful to be with you again. I hope you had a wonderful Shabbos. As you know, last week we restarted our outdoor Mincha Marav minyan, and we hope to slowly, incrementally get back to shul, eventually when it's safe with minyan inside, even on Shabbos. We're not there yet. And of course, there's always the possibility of setbacks, which we hope do not happen, but hopefully, gradually, step by step, that's what we're getting to. Along this path, we, like most shuls that are doing this, are taking steps in this short-term period to lighten the risks involved. And one of the things that we're all doing is to shorten the time that the minyan takes. And that reduces the risk of exposure to the virus. So just for example, normally our own Mincha Marav weeknight service takes about 30 minutes. And we've made a couple of changes. So currently with the outdoor minyan, it takes about 20 minutes. So we carved off about a third. So various ways that we will continue to try, again in the short-term period, until we get back to the full davening. Rabbi Yosef Rimon gives a fascinating answer to a question that was asked of him by the rabbi of a shul in Israel. Now, this shul, keep in mind that every locale operates at a different pace because of what's going on in that locale. And in a lot of places in Israel right now, there are minyanim taking place inside shuls with precautions. Of course, if you're following the news, that might be rolled back. Hopefully not, but we watch it very carefully. But in any event, this is a shul that has restarted their inside Shabbos morning davening, but they have taken steps to shorten the service, as we are, for the same reason, to lower the possible risk. So, the rabbi of this shul decided that in the interest of shortening the service, to temporarily omit saying these two prayers, Tfilah L'Medina, the prayer for the state of Israel, and Mishaberach L'Tzahal, the prayer for Israeli soldiers. Those are prayers that we also say every Shabbos morning here at ADATH. And by the way, I've shared with you, I say them and I suggest that you say them at home as well. But I want you to appreciate that in Israel, saying them has a different intensity than we saying them here, regardless of our connection and commitment, etc., especially the prayer for Israeli soldiers, when in most minyanim in Israel, it is soldiers themselves who are saying that prayer, or the immediate family members who are saying that prayer. So that prayer is said with a heightened awareness. I am praying that I myself should make it alive through the week. It's a different level of intensity. But this rabbi decided to omit, to shorten, and to omit by omitting these two prayers. Makes it a little shorter. And when he made this decision, he got pushback from some of his members. He got pushback from some of his members who said, listen, these two prayers, they're too important to us. You can't omit them. If you're going to omit something, rather omit Chazaras Hashatz of Musaf. We say Musaf, we have the Chazaras Hashatz, the reader's repetition. The reader's repetition is repetition. Leave it out. If you're worried about a risk, of course, you can leave out any part of davening if you're worried about a risk. So, but in terms of the calculus of which has priority, they said to him, leave in the prayer for the state and the prayer for the soldiers, and omit the reader's repetition, Chazaras Hashatz. So this rabbi turned to Rabbi Yosef Rimon, someone who I've quoted to you before, a great Torah scholar and halachic authority, to ask the question, which omission was preferable? So Rabbi Rimon answers in two dimensions. The first dimension is a halachic answer, a technical answer, and the answer is clear-cut. There is no surprise. The answer is simple, clear-cut. The prayer for the state of Israel and the prayer for soldiers is not obligatory, and those two prayers can be said without a minyan. They do not require saying them within a minyan, so they can be said at home. Daven in shul, do it quickly. When you come home from shul, say those two prayers before you make Kiddush. Chazaras Hashatz, the reader's repetition of the Amidah, is a required part of davening. And it requires being said in a minyan. It can only be said if there is a minyan, and therefore, clear-cut, simple. The answer is no surprise. You have to keep reader's repetition, and it's right to omit those two prayers. Okay, this is simple, clear-cut. This is definitely the correct answer. No question about that. But then, Rabbi Rimon addresses a second dimension to this question, which I think is fascinating and instructive, and that is he addresses the motive for the dispute. So he explains, why is it that these congregants want to include the prayer for the state of Israel and the prayer for soldiers? For praiseworthy reasons. No, nothing negative attached to it. For praiseworthy reasons, because for all of us, but especially in Israel, as I mentioned before, these prayers are more personal. These prayers are more immediate. I'm praying for my safety, for my son's safety, for my daughter's safety this week. They are more heartfelt. Chazaras Hashatz, reader's repetition, is abstract. A lot of people ask. Perhaps people on this Zoom session have asked, why do we need it to begin with? So if we're going to omit something, let's keep this stuff. And again, keep in mind, having a prayer that is personal, that is immediate, that is heartfelt, that is the essence of prayer. So let's keep the part that really is heartfelt and meaningful and emotional, and we'll omit the part that is abstract and doesn't seem to make so much sense to begin. So, after explaining that is the reasoning behind the question, Rabbi Rimon says that the thinking is understandable and the motive may be praiseworthy, but it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate because it rests upon a mistaken understanding of our prayers. Why do we have Chazaras Hashatz, the reader's repetition? Now, I've shared this before with you. It's expressed beautifully by the Rav Yosef Soloveitchik. And that is that there are two aspects to prayer that is public, prayer within a minyan. One is expressed by the phrase Tefillah b'tzibur, prayer within a congregation, within a minyan. Now, what that means, technically, is that every individual within the minyan, men, women, children, every human being who is present within the congregation starts their own individual Shmona Esrei Amidah at the same moment. And everyone starting their Amidah at the same moment, and you remember, we try very hard to do that, whether it's at the end of Kaddish or whether we make a bang on the table to start, that everyone should start at the same moment. That is prayer within a minyan. And that is a level of joining together as a group, of unity, because we're all doing the same thing at the same moment, that's called tefillah b'tzibur, prayer within a congregation, within a minyan. But explains the Rav, there's another phrase, and that is called tfilas hatzibur, the prayer of the congregation. And what that means is, that is when there is a prayer where the entire congregation, men, women, children, every human being who comprises that congregation at that moment, where every single individual is fused into one entity. And that one entity delivers a unified prayer to God on behalf of everyone, speaking, to paraphrase the language of our rabbis, ki ish echad b'leiv echad, like one person with one heart. And that is what happens during Chazaras Hashatz. That's what happens during the reader's repetition, where you have one person who is speaking on behalf of the entire congregation, because the entire congregation is one entity, a congregation. And therefore, that is the prayer that is the pinnacle of unity of the Jewish people. That is a higher level of unity and connectedness than just each of us starting our own individual prayers, but doing it at the same time. This is one prayer. Ki ish echad b'leiv echad. One person, one prayer, one heart. And that is Chazaras Hashatz, the reader's repetition. So Rabbi Ramon says, so if your motive in omitting certain prayers is to retain, even under these challenging times, the prayers that are most relevant, the prayers that are most immediate, the prayers that are most pressing, there is no question that Chazaras Hashatz, the reader's repetition of the Amidah, is central to the strength of Am Yisrael, of the Jewish people, and definitely no question that it is central to the strength of Medinat Yisrael, of the state of Israel. Rabbi Rimon is agreeing with the sentiment being expressed by those asking this question. Prayer must be heartfelt. It must be relevant. It must be emotional. Without those things, it's not prayer, it's reading. But in applying that, we must make sure we properly understand the purpose and meaning of each prayer and respond appropriately and utilize the purpose and meaning of each prayer appropriately. I think the question is an interesting question. I think the answer is simple and obvious, but I think the analysis, especially the second half of the analysis, is profound. And it relates to the entire experience of our prayer, the need we have to study, not just to say the words, but to study and appreciate the depths of the meaning of the prayers, and then to be able to relate to them accordingly. I look forward to the day when we can resume Chazaras Hashatz, the reader's repetition, in shul on Shabbos morning. I hope it will be soon, and to appreciate the strength that we derive from it. Ki ish echad b'leiv echad. And also, hopefully very soon, to be able to resume these important prayers. The prayer for Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel, the prayer for Tzahal, the brave men and women who defend and protect the state of Israel, that we should be able to say all of these prayers together in shul. Hopefully soon. My friends, have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing you again soon in person.